And I have great honor to introduce our speaker for today. Her name is Reverend Sandra Hopper. Reverend Sandra, many of you know her. She is an ordained unity minister, a certified transformational life coach, a retired hospice nurse, a certified theta healing practitioner. She is married to Wes. She has a blended family of 4 children, 10 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and she is very passionate about spiritual growth and creativity. We welcome you, Reverend Sandra. So if you would, please join me in welcoming Reverend Sandra and repeat the following after me. Reverend Sandra, we love you. We bless you. We open our hearts and our minds to receive your message today. We thank you for being you.
Hello. All righty. So, any of you know Jack Benny? I know some of you are way too young. So I'm in this conundrum, just thinking. I know that next week you all will be here and you'll welcome November into Reverend Sherry and into this congregation, right? So when I started looking at the 27th of October, I went to Google because it knows everything, right? And I looked up October 27th, and I found that October 27th is the 300th day of the year. You're impressed with that, right? Now I want to know how many of you do New Year's resolutions. All right. So if you do the math, my friends, there's 65 days left to complete those. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. Some of you are probably, oh my goodness, I don't have much time left. Or some of you are thinking, resolutions, what did I write down on that? I have to let you know, I don't always carry my purse when I'm going to speak, but I didn't think it, well, this is what I brought. I want you to know if I wrote New Year's resolutions, I would write them on something like this. Because I don't know about you, but to me, New Year's resolutions end up being the same thing over and over and over again. So this is how good, yeah, that's about what mine would look like. I'd be flushing them. The important thing is, whether we do resolutions or not, is that we have a vision for how those resolutions are coming together at the beginning of the year. It's not just a list of, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to gain weight. Thank you. I mean, I'm grateful for those of you that have that challenge. You know, quit my job, get a new job, whatever the list might be, sometimes it's kind of repetitive if you remember what they are. In the Bible, and yes, I'm a Bible teacher. Next week we start. But in the Bible it says, without vision, people perish. Now I want you to know it's not talking about you're going to drop dead if you do a list of resolutions and you don't have an intention or vision to go with them. But what it means is you're going to be living a life of boredom and sameness. Does your year, October 27th, 2019, look similar to 2018, 2017, 2016? It can be kind of boring, the same thing over and over and over and over. And I'm inviting you, and when I have a finger going out that way, believe me, I have 4 more coming this way, but I'm inviting us to take a look. We've been talking about singing our song, so what's that song all about? What is our song? Because, my friend, if you're not willing to have a vision of what can be different in your life, you're lost. My talk is about, I'm not lost, I am exploring. So if you don't have a vision, you're kind of lost. In reality, according to Ernest Holmes, there is no limitation. Never limit your view of life by any past experience. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. It is not a question of failing or succeeding. It is simply a question of sticking to an idea until it becomes a reality. We say that, have to be careful of these shoes, they have a little more height than I usually do. You know, this is me. I'm not Reverend Sherry, I'm not anybody else, just me. So, but I just want you to know, where was I with that? Yeah, just want you to know that we can look at our imagination. We can live from that place of our imagination. You may say, well, Reverend Sandra, it's real easy for you to say, I'm 90 years old and you're only, or I'm 15 and what do I need vision for? The teachers, my parents, everybody tell me where to go. That's putting a limitation on us. Ernest Holmes says there is no limitations. We get to choose. Do we want a life where we're exploring? Or do we want to feel lost and like there is no possibilities? I want to tell you about a guy that I heard about on the news a couple of weeks ago. I look and listen for stories of transformation. This young man decided that at 93, he was tired of retirement. He decided that the only thing left for him was going to be an obituary. And he didn't like that prospect. So what did he do? He put a mortgage on his house. And he opened a cupcake factory. He had never been a baker. He had never had a shop like that before. But he decided that he was going to open up this bakery. His employees say they have a really hard time keeping up with him. He's up at 4 o'clock in the morning making cupcakes. And they're not just any cupcakes. You too can go to the internet and research this. His cupcakes are Ray's Boozy cupcakes. Not for children, sorry. His daughter was rather concerned because he was not following the usual pattern of a 93-year-old or even a 65-year-old or anyone close to retirement. She was worried about him. He mortgaged his house. He used up all his savings to open this business. But Ray decided to do it his way, to explore the possibilities of what could happen for him. My friend and First Unity minister, Richard Rogers, says there are those among us who take on the extraordinary, the impossible, and make it magical. These individuals don't settle for the regular or common. They allow their vision and thus their lives to expand to the point where miracles come to life. Are you with me? Are you willing to look for those miracles, to see the miracles, or are you content to be lost? We have a choice. We have a choice. There is a story in the Bible, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring you this story. So they came to Bethsaida. Some people brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. Now they're talking about Jesus here. He took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. And when he had put saliva on his eyes and laid his hands on him, he asked him, "Can you see anything?" And the man looked up and said, "I can see people, but they look like trees walking." Then Jesus laid his hands on his eyes again, and he looked intently, and his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Then he sent him away to his home, saying, "Do not even go into the village." Now you might say, what has that got to do with me? I don't have a white cane, or I can see perfectly. I don't even need glasses. But what I see it as being is spiritual blindness. Spiritual blindness. That he was surrounded by people in a village that believed the same way about things. And maybe they were trying to persuade him to believe their way. So they're bringing him to Jesus. "Come on, Master, you know the story. You know what the highest and best is for this man." So they brought him to him. Now, when you look at Jesus in the Bible, it's talking about the I am that is within each one of us. So they're bringing this, we're bringing these thoughts to the I am that is within us. And we're saying, I can't see the light. I can't see what I need to see. I love that part of the story where it says Jesus spit on his hands and then put them on the guy's eyes. I'm not quite sure how to interpret saliva metaphysically, but you can come to me later and tell me. So when he first was able to see after that, he saw men as trees walking. He didn't see the fullness of the people around him. He only saw an outer appearance that was not that namaste, was not the fullness of who they were as individuals. I see men as trees walking. And then Jesus touched him again, that I am consciousness. Touched him again, and his eyes were opened, and he was able to see men walking. There is that within each one of us that is calling to be able to see, to have a greater perspective of who we are and who the people are around us. and it's up to us to listen. As we see others, as we allow our spiritual blindness to go away, to dissipate, we're able to see others. And guess what? We're able to see ourselves in a greater way. To take in the possibilities, to live from a place of possibilities rather than just seeing the impossibilities. Ray's daughter thought he was pretty nuts, the cupcake man. I mean, she couldn't go along with this. She didn't know what was going to happen with him opening up a cupcake store. Well, guess what? Ray's not just content to be a cupcake maker. He's decided now to expand into the shop next door to him, and he's now going to be making ice cream. I don't know if it contains booze, but it's ice cream. And he says it's going to be better than Ben and Jerry's. Now that's got to be some ice cream. But this is a 93-year-old man with vision for his life. I think that pretty well deletes anybody in this room saying that they're too old. I know it does me. So there's 3 steps. Now I need you to know there's 3 steps. Around here we do visioning. Some of us are a part of a group that meet every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday, to vision. To vision for CLF and how it can expand and be so much greater than it is even now in this world. But visioning is asking that question of, what is God's vision for me? The best vision that you can have for your life is one where you are connected to Spirit, and that it isn't just about what I want. But when you truly have that connection in your life to wanting God's vision to unfold in your life, it makes a big difference. So step 1, take time to vision. You got time. Take that time to go into meditation and ask God, what is God's vision? How does God see you? And what is your role? What is my role in my vision? Mine is to further my desire to be a published author. That's my vision. So I can continue to share the light even further than I am now. The second thing, my friends, is to visualize. Visualize is different than visioning. To visualize opening yourself up to what that vision is. What my role is in it. How it can expand me so that I'm not the same person doing the same things in 2020 as I have been in 2019. Allowing ourselves to open up to possibilities. There is no limitations. Remember, Ernest Holmes said that. No limitations. So visualize how that can look for you. I see myself sitting at a table signing my books. So get a feeling for what you want. Bring in some emotion. Allow it to be so much greater than you have in the past. Allow that creativity to come in so that you can share who you are in a greater way. Now, I want you to know, you don't have to desire a new job, a new profession. You have gifts and talents that are asleep, that are ready to be used if you choose for them to be used. So get in touch with that. What are my gifts and talents? How can I use those to bless the people around me? To bless myself, my inner self, knowing that I'm walking in that place of oneness with the Spirit of God that resides in me. The possibilities are greater than our present perception. So visualize. Yes, there is a number 3 here. The third one is act on what you hear. If you don't act on it, you're going to just be doing 2020 just like 2019. How do you like having a New Year's talk in October? I am preparing you. I don't want it to be a shock for you when it gets here. But you have an opportunity to make the rest of 2019 even greater. To take those revolutions, that's what I call them, you know, they keep revolving, but those revolutions, revealing, to take them and make a greater you in your daily life, in your own perception of who you are, and then a greater perception of what you're able to bring and do and be. So, the spiritually blind man was able to see. Each one of us are able to see. There's a poem that I am going to say it my own way. But there was an auctioneer who brought out a violin. He had it on a stand next to him. It was old. It looked so fragile, people were afraid to touch it. It was kind of dusty. And the auctioneer said, $1. Who will give me $1? 2. 3. Who will give me $3? Once, twice. And then from the back of the room came an elderly man and came up, and he picked up the violin, dusted it off, put it to his chin, took the bow, and he started to play. And the most beautiful music came from that violin. It's beautiful music that just flowed. And then, as the man placed the violin down once more, the auctioneer said, "How much am I given for this violin?" 100, 200, 300, 4. And after the selling of that violin, someone said, "How can this be possible? How can this be possible?" And the auctioneer said, it was the touch of the master's hand. The master's hand is calling for each one of us to have that touch, to open our perspective to a greater way of being. Are you ready? Let's take this into a time of prayer. There is one power, one presence, God, life, goodness, everywhere present. The Master, reaching out to touch, to heal, to expand. And we are ready. We are ready. We open ourselves to the touch of the Master's hand. We are no longer lost, but we have the desire to explore. We know our perspective is even. And I am grateful for the touch of the Master's hand that has brought us here today. And at this time, I invite you to bring forth anyone that you would like to call for healing, to bring them into the energy of this space where we know all is possible. You can speak their name aloud or to yourself, knowing that they are heard. And we just say, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you for this time together, for this special, special community where we gather and love on each other, the love of God expressing. So I release this prayer into the universe, into divine love, knowing that it is already done. And we give thanks that it is so, and so it is.